My name is Asia Sampson, and today on Baptism Overland, we are installing the Rome cargo box. Cargo boxes. So I am super excited to finally be installing a cargo box onto the Jeep. I have been eyeing cargo boxes for a while now. I was still weighing on whether or not I was going to get one. And then this last trip, I don't know if you guys have seen that I just posted a video from our Ichitukni camping trip. And I realized that on that trip, I really desperately needed storage. I also have beach chairs or camping chairs that we use. I thought, well, if I get a cargo box, I can put those type of things in here and it will just stay in here all the time. So that way I don't ever have to pack it when we go camping. I don't ever have to pack it when we go on picnics. I don't ever have to pack it if we go to the beach. It's already all in here. So I've been eyeing cargo boxes for a while. I've been looking at different brands, different price points. I know Plano had, a big tub that you can use that has wheels on it, but it just seemed too, I don't know, it just seemed too flimsy for wanting to put it up there. I also looked at Pelican because Pelican, I love Pelican. I have tons of Pelican cases and I know that Pelican is coming out with their overlanding series and I believe the price point for those are a little bit higher. But the other company that I've really been eyeing are these guys, Rome Adventure Company. Now, this video is not sponsored by them. I bought this on my own. I mean, if they want to send me some, feel free. But I've loved their design. I love how they look. I love how robust it feels. I mean, if you look at this thing, it's pretty solid. So I wanted this size. They have like 5 different sizes. Matter of fact, just yesterday, they released a newer size, which is almost the same as this, but lower profile but a little bit wider. I kind of thought I had buyer's remorse and maybe I should have gotten the shorter one. As opposed to this tall one, but I realized that because the other one is a little bit wider, then it's just going to eat it into the space where I'm supposed to put a rooftop tent. So this actually fits perfectly. The dimensions of this is 19 inches this way, and I believe about 11 to 12 inches high. So this will just fit perfectly. I know that it's gonna probably stick out a little bit high on the Jeep, but hopefully by the time I get the roof rack put on there, it won't look so off and odd. This is going to be a super easy install. Basically, I'm just going to drill some holes in the bottom, mount it to the roof rack pretty much the same way I've mounted the jerry cans and other things to the roof rack. Should be pretty simple installation process. So I can't wait to get into it, and I think that it's going to give me the actual ample storage that I need. All right, so first thing I want to do is kind of get this monstrosity up there, if I can just manage to get this up. Oh! Saw that. So it's high, right? It makes it actually look pretty high up there, but once I put the rooftop tent on, it won't look so awkward with it being there. I could put it in the back until I get a rooftop tent, but I just don't want to have to move it around all the time. So I think if I keep it up there, then rooftop tent will be in the back. I think we should be pretty all right, but it is adding some height to the Jeep. Next thing I want to do is kind of just mark where I'm probably going to put the tape. Now that I have the tape on there, all I got to do is put the box up so I can kind of mark out where I'm going to drill the holes. All right, now that I know that that's centered where I want it to be, I'm going to try to draw underneath. All right, so now that I have everything marked up where I'm going to drill the holes, I'm going to go ahead and start drilling the holes in. Now, the bolts are 3 1/8 inch wide, so I'm going to have to start with a small pilot hole first and move up to a 3 1/8 inch bit, and then that'll pretty much helps secure everything in place. What you didn't see on screen though was when you first saw me test fit it, I had the front of the roam box facing the front of the Jeep. I decided I'm going to just do it the other way, where the front of this is actually facing towards the back. The logo on here was being cut off by the wind deflector that's on there, and it just looked really funny to me. And the second reason that I want to face it towards the back is because I'm going to put locks on these things. If the front of this is facing the front, when wind starts to hit it, it's going to rattle those locks that are on here, right? So if I face it to the back, then that'll kind of maybe minimize the locks from just swinging all over a place and banging on the box itself. I just need to make sure that when I do put on the rooftop tent later, that I still have clearance to be able to open these things, you know, because they do swing out when you open them up. So I want to make sure that I have enough clearance so that I can still open the box. And it might be easier facing the back too, because now the lid will open towards the front, and so that'll just give me better access. And since I have the step-ups on the side of my door, that'll just be easier for me to get there rather than trying to reach for inside the box through the front of the Jeep. I don't know if that makes sense right now, but it will when you see. So let's go ahead and drill these up. If you remember, on the Jeep, there are the two bars that are basically running across from one side of the Jeep to the other. I'm going to use carriage bolts to go in between those bars, lock into the inside of these holes. Now, the reason why I'm using the carriage bolts is because on the end, the heads of them are very rounded. So that means that no one can just come in with a wrench and unwrench the box and take it with them. So that'll hold down these four things in between those two bars. However, what I'm afraid of is once this is locked in, because this is made of plastic, as I start to drive, I don't want to have some sort of lift happening on the front. Because it's only plastic, as rigid as it is, I don't want it to start to kind of put stress around the holes. I will be using steel washers inside, you know, so to kind of prevent the plastic from buckling a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be enough. So what I decided to do was on the front end that's facing the front of the Jeep, there are two other holes here, and the way I'm going to do that is they won't lock into those two bars, right? And they're actually just going to be using regular bolts, and you can, you know, take a wrench and unscrew those, and that's fine because you still can't get to the other four. But how this is going to work is I'm going to have two regular bolts that will clamp, and then use this to clamp down on the bar that's on the front of the Jeep. But for now, let's go ahead and cut this up and spray paint it so that it's not looking like ugly like this, and then I'll put it together. So it just dawned on me that my wife took the Jeep, which means that all the tools I normally use to do my grinding are also in said Jeep, which would include my leather gloves, which I use for recovery. That being said, since I don't want to have to wait till she gets back, then I'm gonna have to make do with what I've got. And what do I have? Gardening gloves. Ooh, it's leather, it's fine, it should hold up. Safety first, right? All right, so here's a pretty quick but obvious tip for many of you who already do this a ton, and that is, how do you transfer the holes? In other words, you can see that there are two holes right now on the rear of this box that's going to clamp down onto the roof rack. So how do I make sure that the holes that I put through this box will line up with the holes that I drill onto the plates? A couple ways you can do that. You can hold this in place, open the box, and then try to mark the holes from the inside. But trying to maneuver this humongous box around and then opening it and holding this in place without it being a two-person job, it's going to get a little bit difficult, and you're just going to give yourself a headache. So a quick and easy way to do that is just by using your good old-fashioned painter's tape. Take the painter's tape, put it over, kind of make sure that it's straight so that, you know, it's not too off. And then using your fingers, kind of find where those holes are. Press it in so you can kind of get an indentation of them. Take your Sharpie, mark where the holes are. Then just take the tape, boom, and there you go. Alright, so the plates have been spray painted, the heads of the bolts have been spray painted, and I think that's it. We just have to put the box back up there right now, put the bolts in, and we should be good to go. Alright, got all my parts, got my drill, got my wrench. Let's hope these holes match up. Alright guys, that's it. That's the install. I hope you enjoyed that. I think it looks really cool. Actually, let me not embellish, right? I know it looks awkward. And there's probably people just watching this video right now like, dude, it's sticking out like a sore thumb. Yeah, I get it. Of course it looks like that because there's no rooftop tent back there, right? So all you're seeing is this empty roof rack with a single cargo box on there. Of course it's going to look weird. And not only that, it's sitting in the front, so it makes the Jeep look unbalanced, and I'm pretty sure it's going to cause a lot of drag and kill my gas mileage. But I believe that form should always follow function, right? Function is more important to me. I need space. I need a way to organize certain things so that they're not being crammed in the inside of my Jeep, right? So for me, I think it works out just fine. It's going to look awkward right now, but in a couple of weeks or so, I'm hoping to get my rooftop tent, and once I put that up there, it's going to even itself out. Matter of fact, the rooftop tent, I believe, is 15 inches tall. That's going to be sitting on the side walls of this roof rack, which is 4 inches, so you're looking at 19 inches above the roof of the Jeep. So once that's on there, this thing's going to look minuscule. Like, it won't even stick out at all anymore. If anything, it's going to be the rooftop tent that's sticking out. But that's okay, because that's huge, and that's kind of like a show-off type of thing. But for me, I know I needed cargo space, and this was the perfect solution for that. I do have to be cognizant about the kind of weight I'm putting on this roof rack, though, because right now the roof rack is rated for about 300 pounds when it's moving and 500 pounds when it's static, right? So if you kind of figure it all in, a rooftop tent is going to be about 100 pounds. And then the 2 jerry cans that I have, when they're full, each weigh 60 pounds. Right? I weighed it today and I didn't realize it was that heavy. So 2 jerry cans full of fuel is 120 pounds. Add that to the 100 pounds on my rooftop tent, you're already looking at 220. So that means that whatever goes inside this cargo box and the cargo box itself, it better not weigh more than 80 pounds or else I'm going to exceed the limit of what this roof rack can hold. I did make a couple of modifications. The only thing that I had to do was one, obviously, was drill holes into the box so that I can screw them on. And then the second thing I did was I actually removed the handles. Really? It's gonna start raining right now, like while I'm trying to do this. Florida rain is one of those things that will come, you give it like 2 minutes, and then it'll be gone. Now these are the straps that come with the box. They're on the side, and the reason why I removed it is because I know I'm probably not going to ever take this box off the Jeep. right? It's pretty much permanent. It's fixed there. The last thing I want is for these straps to just be sitting on the sides, and every time I'm driving, the wind is hitting it and it's knocking up against the side of the cargo box, and you'll be able to hear it. It's going to just be loud and annoying. So I removed them. I mean, you can keep them on, but I realized I didn't even really need them anyway. When I was transporting the box, I never used the straps to hold them. I was basically, the box has enough little nooks and crannies for you to grip and put on. Don't judge me for when I almost dropped it when I was installing it. Okay. Now the install was done basically just like I've done all the other stuff I've done before. I used carriage bolts because the carriage bolts are rounded off. So that way at the bottom, no one can just come in there with a wrench, unscrew the thing, and then take my box with them. In order for them to take the box, they actually have to open the lid and unscrew it from the inside. And because Rome was thoughtful enough to make sure that you can lock these boxes, so as long as I lock them up, no one will be able to open it, take my stuff inside, or unscrew it and take the whole box, right? So because of that, my plan is in the future is I want to put some MaxTrax on top of the cargo box. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get the MaxTrax mounts, put it on top of the lid, all right, and then from the inside, screw them in, and then have the locking mechanism at the top, put the MaxTrax down, lock them up. Now, in order for somebody to get the MaxTrax, again, they're going to have to open the cargo box and unscrew it from the inside, which you won't be able to because the box is locked. So that's my safety feature. That's how I'm planning everything to look like. The cargo box is there, MaxTrax on top. Right behind it is the rooftop tent, and everything should be balanced out and looking pretty cool. That's all we got. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please make sure to subscribe. Make sure you follow us so I can continue making content like this. And I'll see you again for the next install. Hopefully that will be a rooftop tent install or review. I don't know if I'm going to do an install video for a rooftop tent because it's pretty self-explanatory, but hopefully the next video that I do, I'll be able to give you guys a review on whatever rooftop tent I finally decide to settle in. I'm looking at right now at Tepui or CVT. Those are the two brands that I have been eyeing. So if you have any kind of thoughts on the matter, or if you have any kind of suggestions on the matter, drop them in the comments below, and that way I can take a look at what you're suggesting I get. I know it can't be too big because I don't have that much space, so just keep that in mind as well, and we can continue that discussion in the comments below. But that's it, you guys. We'll see you guys next time. This is Baptism Overland. I am Asia Samson, and thank y'all for spending this day with me.
GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, stop recording. Dang it!